Hey guys, what's up? This is False Bulls 123 and this is day 64 of our daily quarantine vlog. So hopefully next week I'm going to be hearing more about when I can get back into the kitchen. And I hope it's sometime soon. Of course, I am, concerned about, a second wave. If it's happening, it probably will. This is how those things work out. But I promise I'm going to try my best to stay absolutely safe during the quarantine. And if this happens again, if we do get a second, wave and we have to go back into lockdown, I probably won't be doing daily vlogs again. I'll probably do more like a weekly vlog, maybe do a short stint, show a short clip for if I do something interesting throughout the week. But it's not going to necessarily be something as large scale as I'm doing this quarantine. Mostly it's because I don't have the energy to edit all these videos. I don't have the energy to publish all of them and keep that going. And that's just really the honest truth about it. Maybe in the future, when I have less demand in my life and less things I need to do, I could sit down at my desk that I don't have and on my really nice editing suite, which I also don't have, and just bang this shit out. But currently, it takes a lot more energy than I have to give. Now guys, what's this video about? Why are we talking about sad, dumb shit instead of doing fun, dumb shit? Well, let me tell you. If you've followed me on social media, you might occasionally see me making these little origami rabbits. Like this one right here. And you're like, yeah, Ryan, I saw that on your Reddit or your Instagram or the 5 seconds you had it as your profile pic on Discord if you follow me on Discord. I don't know who does because I don't have a public Discord or anything because I don't want one. But it's you might have seen these if you follow any of my social media, and I don't know if you do. And I thought it would be really fun during the quarantine to just make a sort of tutorial video and show you how I make these little rabbits. I think I originally based this off of the one by Spruce Crafts, and I'll try to post a picture of their version right there. However, I have come to realize that I do make several different folds compared to theirs, and so I like to think that it is somewhat my own, even though it is mostly based off of that tutorial, and that's where I learned how to make these rabbits. But definitely my model and their model is very different looking in the final product. And maybe that's just because I'm bad at doing origami. That is entirely possibly the case. Anyway, I also don't really have any way to sort of set up a setting where I can actually film from below and show you me doing it in real time. But I'll make the folds off camera and then explain how to fold them, and I'll do my best. This is sort of a new video for me, so it's going to take me a second to actually figure out how to make it. And show you guys. You know what I mean. Okay guys, so I do apologize any shaky cam that you are experiencing, but let's get started on the tutorial. So, just as a, whatchamacallit, I guess practice test, I want to make sure my procedure was correct, so I did proof of concept, and this is what the finished project essentially looks like. Just for comparison, this is the one I showed you at the beginning of the video. You notice that they are obviously very similar, though there are some, changes in the shape and size and all of that. So how do we make one of these cute little, fat bunny rabbits that kind of looks like they're just sitting? Well, first of all, if you have origami paper, you're really cool. I wish I could be like you, but I'm a broke bitch and also a miser, and so I don't pay for anything. So what you basically will need to do is you can make your own, I guess, paper, essentially. So if you've never done origami before, and I'm sure there are, I'm sure there are other, folding patterns that can use different shapes of paper, but most of the origami patterns I've seen usually use a square piece of paper with equal sides on all the sides. You know what a square is. And so the nice thing about this pattern is that it begins with a diagonal fold across it. And so you can actually make your own, you can actually figure out a square of a regular notebook piece paper or something similar and actually be able to fold this because you already had to do the fold anyway. Other ways that I've made these is I will make them out of whatchamacallit, sort of just found paper I have. So I've made like these little origami rabbits out of gum wrappers or receipts or even fast food wrappers. Those are actually kind of fun. I think it's really, I don't know, I find some enjoyment doing origami with fast food wrappers just because it's very novel and very kitsch, in my opinion. So I'm going to pause this for a second so I can actually work, and then I'm going to show you how to essentially start your origami piece. Okay, so I have made the first fold of the origami. So as you can see here, I folded the piece of paper diagonally across its hem, so that essentially this edge here is gone to this edge right here. And this gives you an exact square of the piece. Next, what you're going to want to do, if you're not using origami paper, is to trim off this excess here. If you are using origami paper, make sure to do this fold, and then you continue on to the next step. Wonderful. So, if you wondered why it looks different, that's because I cut this piece of paper off, and you'll just need a regular pair of scissors for that. You could, like, tear it off, but it's better if you use a pair of scissors because it's a neater cut. I feel like that's over-explanation, but hey, this is my tutorial. I can say whatever the fuck I want. So next up, what we want to do is we want to orient, let's see, the paper so that it's facing down, and that will bring us into the next step. So what I did here is that essentially I folded each of these edges right here down towards the center to make it into this rough diamond shape. Essentially, imagine the triangle being in 4 sections. Well, there's an invisible line here, imagine. And then you're essentially folding them up into each other, so that it gets a bit smaller. Also, make sure after this point that you're doing all the folds with these little wings pointed downwards. Otherwise, the next steps might not come out exactly as you want them to. Now we've made, I think, the third fold of the piece. And what I did here is that I essentially took this edge right here and I folded it up towards the center seam of the piece. And you need to do that on both sides, as you can see here. And it makes this little kite shape. And so the next step is a little confusing, but I will try my best to explain it out. Essentially, you will need to take this ridge right here and then flatten it against the paper. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a second, but I just need both hands to do it, so I can't hold the camera while I'm doing it, so you'll see. Okay, there we go. And I know this probably looks a little bit confusing if you weren't ready for it, but basically, as you can see here, you had these 2 ridges of paper folded in, and you essentially had to press them along the edge of the wing right here. So it makes this interesting little hood shape along, and the whole thing becomes hexagonal. I had to think about the word for it. So this is actually a pretty cool looking shape in and of itself, but we're not quite there yet. So here we move into the actual forming of the rabbit. And the next step is very easy. So you of course remember that we have the centralized seam right here. And the next step will be to actually fold it over, and so that it is, like, I guess, folded in half laterally. And I'll show you what that fold looks like in just a second. So you now notice that the shape is trapezoidal. And all we did here was, that's not the perfect crease, but we essentially just folded it backwards so that all of the points met, making this shape. We have the wing here, the tip of it, along with this folded joint that we made when we actually folded it down. So what we're going to do now is essentially turn this wing inside of this joint so that it is facing upwards. Essentially, basically bend this 180 degrees, I guess, so that it fits into the shape of this joint area right here. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So here we go. These are the folds. And as you can see, essentially all I did was fold it at a certain angle so that the end edge of the wing here actually goes into the edge of the joint. And I did this on both sides, as you can see. Now, one thing I like to do with my rabbits, because these are the ears, is actually fold one of them down to give it a little bit of, like, just some character. Give it sort of a floppy ear. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like to do it with mine just because it adds a little bit of asymmetry to the rabbit. You can also see now that as you have put these ears up, there is a distinguishable front and back of the rabbit. And I think that's a really great way of actually seeing some shape into the piece. Next up, we're going to form the nose, and I will show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, there we go. Now the rabbit has a nose and is looking a little funky without its tail, but we're going to be getting to that in just a second. I can see here, it's a little hard to hold, all I really did was take the point of it and fold it directly in, so that there is two creases along the sides. And that does look a little difficult, but with practice, it will make a lot more sense. Basically, just push the nose down in between the papers and fold in. Next up, we're going to be doing a similar thing with the tail. Oh, sorry, just can't figure out how to orient this thing. We're going to do the same thing with the tail, but we're going to do two folds, one in and one out. I believe this is called a mountain and hill fold. That is what I am told, but I will put the proper name across the top, and I will show you what that looks like in just a second. So here is the completed rabbit, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Essentially, we have the first fold going in, just like you did for the nose, but then I took the rest of that tip and I actually folded it towards the front again, and then we closed it. So it makes a little kind of tail there. Now you're wondering, Ryan, that looks not like, the rabbit you showed us, not like this one. What did you do differently between the two? Basically, all I did was I folded the tail in a lot farther in than I did for this one. So essentially, there's much smaller crease inside that one than this one. And so that changed the length of the rabbit. That was not surely intentional, but I wanted to make sure that, I could demonstrate the crease well. And so it is a little bit of a change up from our standard rabbit. And so, as you can see, there can be a bit of variation with each of the rabbits you make. Another fun game to do, I think, would be to get a large piece of paper and then make, smaller and smaller rabbits, which, if you give me a second, let me actually find. So, as you can see, here are two new, newborn rabbits, along with a little sort of, what is it called, matroski? I'll put the correct word. Little trail of rabbits down below. So these three rabbits I made with a single piece of paper, and each one gets smaller as I basically use a smaller sheet. Now, this is probably one of my favorite origami pieces just to do because it's one of the easier ones that you can remember, so I have a lot of fun with them. Well, guys, I hope that you had a lot of fun today learning how to make your little origami friends, and if not, that's okay. I want to try something different, because we're stuck in this quarantine, and if we should do anything in the world, it's have a bit of fun, So I'm really glad that you spent this time with me today. I'm glad that you're trying not to go fucking stir crazy during the quarantine. And yeah. That's one of the things I like to do for fun. It was just really enjoyable sharing that small part of myself with you. And I know we're going to have a lot of fun in the future. So I guess heads up on my channel. I'm going to be uploading the rest of my quarantine vlogs for the next couple weeks. And I realized that by the time you actually see this, it was already going to happen. But whatever, I'm mostly saying I see this for myself as well. I'm going to be uploading the rest of the quarantine vlogs, throughout, I guess, the rest of the summer. Because we're on day, 64? And I think I'm just hitting day 40 on the videos. I'm about a week and a half behind right now because I've been a lazy piece of shit on editing. But pretty much we're going to catch up eventually, and we'll be seeing this. I'm going to take a little bit of a break after I do this. Still going to do my live streams because those just... I don't know, the live streams feel different. They're not the same as the video because I just get on screen and I talk, and so it's a less of a stress on me as a creator, and I like that. Though I don't think I'll ever go directly into just streaming because I like being able to edit my videos, and I don't like having to stream and then edit. I don't know really what the difference is, you know? On top of that, I am going to try to be doing more bookish style videos in the future, but at the same time, I still want to be doing vlog style videos as well. And not just like reading vlogs, like in that bookish sense, but actually like other types of things. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I really want to try BookTube for two reasons. First of all, it looks like a lot of fun. Well, let's put it 3 reasons. It looks like fun, right? There's book tags, there's all these like different things, and it looks like something that I can really get into and like just do all these things with a hobby that I haven't really been able to express recently. And I think that sounds really awesome because it allows me to educate and do things for myself while also be able to make like, content that I don't have to worry about like, thinking of clever ways to phrase things or doing research on like actors. I can just make content about media that it's okay if I just have opinions or just talk about like, actually speak out loud to the camera, which a lot of times can be a lot easier to review things than actually. I don't know, I feel like public speaking is a lot of times is a lot easier to do than actually writing things down and expressing it through words, because I don't always have writer's block the same way that I have stage fright, if that makes sense. Let's see, point two. I like it because it gives me sort of an infinite amount of content to create. I don't really have to worry as much about making really unique video ideas when there's already a pre-made format for like, BookTube. And I really like that because if I want to, I can just sustain myself on doing a wrap-up and doing other things. And I like having that episodic, periodical content. But at the same time, I can also branch out and do other things. And third, I really like it because it allows, I can think of a lot of ways that I can create a niche for myself in the format, in the genre. Because I don't really bring that much, like, special stuff to the vlogging table. I don't have this, like, cool Instagrammer life. And, yeah, I wish I could get out there and, like, go hiking and, like, drink margaritas and hang out with hot chicks all day. But, like, that's not my life. If you're being honest, where would you find me, like, on an average day? It would be in my room playing Minecraft. And I'm not cool enough or, like, awesome enough to do Minecraft videos. So, whatevs. But it's like, yeah, I don't have, like, that kind of life, but I definitely know there are a lot of skills I do have, and I think that I have some really great ideas on how to incorporate my life experiences and my interests into BookTube. One thing I would like to do is actually, because I don't really see anyone talking about, you have cooking channels on YouTube, right? You have like all these people like making these really cool things, and I love watching those, though I don't watch them as often as you think I would, right? But you don't really see anyone on BookTube. I don't see anyone on BookTube, at least, talking about, like, cookbooks or talking about food writing or any of those things. And I have experience with that. I'm a cook, so I can lend my own insight to that. And I think it would be really fun if I could actually do some cooking on this channel. Like, actually talk about, like, technique and all these other things. And I definitely want to do that eventually. I would like to film a few videos where I talk about my cooking experience. I want to do a what's in my knife bag video because that sounds like a lot of fun. But I want to wait till I replace a few of my small wares before I actually get into that because I'm missing a few pieces that I really love. I've just lost them over the years. I'm not going to mention what those are, but as soon as I replace those, that's probably going to be in the works, but whatever. And I think it would be really fun if I could like do things, and I have like all these like fun ideas to like incorporate like cooking and all these other things with the books I read. And I think that can be a really fun experience. Not to make this channel like a cooking channel, but to incorporate my love of food in with my love of books. And just have an interesting synergy between the two. Because I think that is definitely something I can provide to the table that I don't know how to provide with my standard vlogging content. Also, I probably would need a friend to hold the camera, but I can get a tripod or something. Like, that's a thing, right? I don't fucking know. I ain't got money for that shit. Anyway. I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but I just wanted to, like, kind of, like, take a deep breath and just like, update you on my channel, let you know like what I'm kind of interested in, how I want to like move things going forward. Because even though I don't get a lot of traffic, even though I don't really have that many subscribers, I'm not trying to really focus on that. I'm trying to create for creation's sake. And I know that can be really difficult to deal with sometimes because, like, everyone wants to be famous and be like Markiplier or PewDiePie or like Books of Lala or like just one of these like super big YouTubers that like have this amazing growth and be like rich and powerful. But at the same time, I realize that there's hundreds of people out there who are doing the same thing that I am, and that it's a struggle, and that I have a lot of things that a lot of people have a lot of benefits and advantages that I don't. But I also know that I am like, a unique person, and I have something that's worth value. And that if there's one thing I've learned as a cook is to have confidence in one's own abilities. That's really something you have to learn in a kitchen to think, you know what, Ryan? You know what the fuck you're doing. You know what a bechamel sauce tastes like, and you can make a good-ass bechamel sauce. And you just have to remind that sometimes, guys. Like, just remember, metaphorically, bitch, you know what a bechamel sauce tastes like, and you don't need to worry about it. Because you can trust yourself, and you can trust your own abilities. So that's the modeling bullshit I need to tell you today. Is like hashtag inspired, hashtag inspirational, hashtag whatever the fuck I'm saying. And yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for staying with me. Thanks for watching this like super long, super cringy outro, like all my other outros, because I never shut the fuck up. And yeah, I had a really nice time tonight, guys. I hope you stay safe. Tell your family you love them, all that bullshit. And this is False Bulls 1, 2, 3, and I'm signing off.